Hello, good evening, viewers. You're welcome to Ben TV. My name is Soyode Ogundamisi, and it's your program, Politricks with KO, the community program. Our special prayers to the people of Nigeria. It's been a terrible week. The month of June, we should just pray that this month should go away in a hurry. First, we had the death of almost 200 citizens in Plateau State, Nigeria. And as if that was not enough, yesterday, we had a disaster in Lagos where people lost their lives to tanker explosions. I don't know what we're doing as a people, but we seem to have lost our humanity. Having said that, after the crisis, what happened? Everyone started spawning out their different propaganda from all sides. It's either it's the Fulani or it's the headsmen, or we're talking about the Muslims attacking the Christians. Whatever it is, we all have blood flowing in our vein. And if we cannot try to solve the problem, why do we need to add more fire to it? So let me first talk about the clarification from Premium Times. Premium Times published a statement allegedly by Miyetti Allah saying that the cows in the country are more important than humans, and that the attack in Plateau State was as a result of attacks on cows. And social media went agog. People went mad. There were lots of people raving, cursing these Fulani people, saying, do we have to respect cows and not humans? Guess what? It's all a pack of lies. Miyetti Allah never made that statement. And Premium Times, they've issued an apology today, and they say that, well, we got it all wrong. We didn't make the statement. And let me just briefly read part of this statement by Premium Times. They said, look, they've conducted an internal investigation and found that there was no recording of any interview in which Mr. Shiroma made the statement, the alleged quote that everybody is fighting each other on social media. In southern Nigeria, people are going frenzy, they're going crazy, you know. And the Nations, the original news media platform that the Premium Times are quoting for, they've not provided any evidence. Why are we using propaganda to destroy our country? So let's go straight to Lagos, because we have on Skype Fuad Oki, because they want to start this program with a conversation about internal democracy in Nigerian political parties. And guess what? Don't go away. We're going to have Alistair Soyode, one of the presidential aspirants, in the studio. Let's go straight to Lagos, where we have Fuad Oki, if he's online. Good evening, Fuad. Hello, do we have Fuad there?
And thanks for having me.
Okay. Let me quickly ask you.
I am here with you, Charity.
Okay, good to have you. What happened in Lagos yesterday? Can you give us a summary from you're in Lagos, the disaster we all saw around the globe. What really went wrong in Lagos?
Well, let me start by saying that it was a Black Thursday in Lagos yesterday. You know, there's a popular spot when you are leaving Lagos going into Ogun State, around the Otedola Estate, along the express. And it's a spot that has become recurring in terms of trailers or tankers either, skidding off the road or practically or something. I think yesterday was just one of those unfortunate times. The scene was gory. And I think it's high time Lagos State government particularly, need to do something about it.
Okay.
From years back, yeah. I think about 2015 or 2014, there was a white paper issued, on that particular spot. Unfortunately, as we practically are witnessing these days, the Lagos State government up to this moment has not done anything. I think now we have gotten to an urgent situation where something drastic must be done to ensure that no more lives or any fatality.
Okay. Let's take this from you. Okay, you okay? If you can. Okay, if you're there, the APC, the party you represent, you've been in power in Lagos since 1999. And this is not the first time we're going to be having this kind of crisis. On Ojuelegba Bridge, almost 3 times we've had disaster where trailers just collapsed, killing many people, and then this. Does this speak volume of the incompetence of your party, the APC, and the Lagos State government in not being able to control the activities of these tankers or regulate the activities of those who endanger fellow citizens in Lagos?
Well, it would not be fair to say that either our government or our party is unable to handle the situation. I think the problem, by and large, it's about more than political will on the man whose desk, rests all of these, issues. Yes, we've had this issue like you also have in other parts of the world. However, it's been a recurring decimal which we must tackle head on. And I think what this government
okay.
Will do it's to take the case head on and see what we can.
Okay, let's quickly.
However,
yeah.
You will recall that we tried to last time in the dual. I think with that, the government. Yes. Hello.
Hello, I can hear you.
Hello, Karen.
Hello, I can hear you. Let me quickly come in here and let's so that we don't lose sight of. Can you hear me? Okay.
I think.
We're having a very bad connection to Lagos, but if you're still there, I want us to quickly also look at the issue of the internal democracy in APC, the party that controls the party in power in Lagos State, which is one of the major issues why we wanted Oki here, because a lot of Nigerians in diaspora want to go into politics. They want to go back home, and what they see is that there's a political party there, but they cannot just break through into these political parties because either there are godfathers controlling this political party or they just simply can't break into the community. And one of the things Fuad Oke has been doing is to take a look at how to reform his own party, the APC. The PDP is also doing a lot of work in terms of reforming the PDP as a political party. And on Politricks with KO, we're going to be looking at the issues of internal democracy. These parties are registered in the name of Nigerians, and they are not open to a lot of Nigerians. If we can get Oki back later. But before then, let us just say a very huge congratulations to the Super Eagles of Nigeria in the World Cup. They did us proud. Their best was not good enough, but at least good enough for us because we saw the unity within the team. If Nigerians could be as united as our boys, only God knows what else we'll be able to do. So just let me give you a taste of how Nigerians, and when we say Nigerians now, Nigerians from across the world, we go to the World Cup, and let's take this clip from the World Cup and just feel proud as a Nigerian.
Okay.
So now we don't need to beat Iceland and draw against Argentina. Hopefully, like, praise God.
We were beating Iceland.
We go beat them.
And we will beat Argentina again. Again, we will beat Argentina.
Well,
You sure?
We will beat them.
Niger for life.
After that, we will beat France.
And we go
That
beat
round,
France.
we will beat France. After France.
After that, we go beat Germany. We go beat them.
We go beat everybody.
We carry cup and we go change Naira to pound. We go beat 1 pound, 1 Naira.
You will come settle down.
For Niger.
What a joyous moment. You see, football unites Nigerians as if we forget where we come from, we forget the religious affiliation, everything, we break down every element of division. And you see, Nigerians from across the world, they could celebrate the Super Eagles, and they rallied around the boys. The members of the team come across every nook and cranny of Nigeria. It didn't even matter if most members of the team are from the southeast, or if we didn't have anyone from North Central or what have you. We just saw ourselves as one. If we could just take a leap of faith, that unity that we bring into football, just bring it into our community so that we can live in peace. Let's quickly go straight into one of the major events, the 2018 budget. The National Assembly are alleged to have inserted 578 billion naira worth of projects into the budget. 578. And if you look at it, it's got what do they want to use this money for? They want to supply industrial sewing machines. Did you get that? Industrial sewing machines. They want to build fish feed mills in some locations. They want to build culverts and drainages. They claim they want to supply transformers to some rural areas. They're also telling us that they want to buy motorcycles for extension work, procurement of fertilizers, and wait for it. Our National Assembly, they also want to build executive toilets, what they call executive toilets. So out of the 578 billion naira, they are going to provide all these projects that are more or less meaningless. If you ask me, you know, what will the National Assembly lawmakers be doing with supplying cassava mills to members of the community when we have departments within those places that can make provisions for that? But the question is, if Buhari was indeed complaining about the National Assembly or the lawmakers inserting 578 billion into the 2018 budget, why did he sign it? You're the president and commander-in-chief. You gave them a budget. They came out with a version that is 578 billion naira more than what you expect, and you signed it. You know, I think the president should have returned the budget to the National Assembly rather than now complaints to the Nigerian people. Now we have a budget where lawmakers would make away with almost over half of a trillion naira. You know, they won't be accountable to anybody. They did not, in any case, provide any tender to show that the contractors, they will be handing over those projects to are not members of their families. And it's just painful that as citizens of our country, we continue to see a repeat of the past. And what this government promised us, the current APC government, was that they were going to do things differently. That lawmakers will not be able to blackmail them into decisions they don't want. So we really feel it's something that as people we should all speak out against. Now, earlier today I was contacted about an NGO that in Kwara State there is a school that has been abandoned for almost 9 years. You know, this school, they have no provision of electricity. The classrooms are not fit for purpose. And we'll just show you a photograph of the school in Kwara State, Islamia Secondary School. So we contacted the Kwara State governor and said to him, look, why do you have a school in Kwara State that is not fit for purpose? And we had a shocking response from the governor of Kwara State on Twitter. And you can see the photograph of those schools. That's supposed to be a school it has been in that state that's very sorry state for almost 8 years. And you would not imagine that any child would have to be made to study under those conditions. Then people ask about the quality of education in Nigeria. You know, it's quite shocking. So we did contact the Kwara State governor, and guess what his response is? He said, emergency reforms in the education sector is what he is waiting for before he is able to fix those schools. Shocking, you would say. The governor of a state is saying that it would take another probably 8 years before it will be able to fix the school. Now you see those innocent people that were killed, victims of the just crisis. You can see them on the screen there. So just so much negative happening in Nigeria, and we don't know when we're going to move away from this crisis. So let's take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to be treating issues regarding the state of Nigeria. Don't go away. The station is Ben Television. Hello viewers, you're welcome back. It's your program Politricks with KO, and I've got joining me a member of the team, Toby Balogun. Toby,
Hello.
it's good to be back, right?
It's good to be back indeed.
New studio,
yes.
new set, everything. Ben TV is, so, but it's been very sad with Nigeria. Let's start with the issue of the tank explosion in Lagos. Yes. And if my producer will come up with the video, we just want our viewers to see what happened in Lagos. I was having this conversation with Soyode. I feel so bad that we lost him. We're going to bring him back on the program some other time. He's a very knowledgeable person when it comes to Lagos. So let's take a look at what happened in Lagos with the fuel tank explosion, and then we have a conversation around that if the footage is ready. Do we have the footage on? Okay, let's quickly have a conversation. So, just suddenly, we woke up to the sad news, having survived, having been reflecting on the one in Jos. What do you think is wrong with our health and safety mechanism in Nigeria? Lagos, a population of almost 20 million, yes. And we don't have checks in place to save people's lives.
So firstly, I have to send my condolences out to the family of those that perished in the incident. It's been a bloody month for Nigeria, and it hasn't come at a more worse time, I must say. But I think the incident is something that could have been avoided. Yeah. I sense that a lot of consideration has gone into the structure of Lagos in other ways, but the movement of these tankers hasn't really been considered for. There have been suggestions about curtailing the movements, making sure it's at night. But we also have to balance the argument on the other side and understand that the only way we transport fuel products in this Nigeria is by road. The rails are not up and running yet, and at night it's not safe. Yeah. So it's an issue, but at least they should have found a way to accommodate the needs of economic activity while safeguarding the people. This is not the first time the incident has happened on that particular stretch.
Some are even saying that, look, Lagos is becoming so congested now that you would expect that we will start expanding, the state will grow outwards towards Ibadan and Ogun State, like for maybe those vast landmass, when you're going to Ibadan, turn it into a hub for trailers. I think Fashola tried it, it didn't succeed. Instead of doing that, we're pushing the sea out and creating elitist, yes. Millionaires island, yes. That yes. is going to, that looks completely different from the reality of Nigeria. They have this project, Eco-Atlantic, where the per square meter is more expensive than the per square meter of London and New York. And when you pump a lot of money into the development of places for the high and mighty, and you abandon the high-density area. It's a lack of proper planning and misplaced priority.
I think it's focusing too much on a certain portion of the Lagos population without considering how the masses live. It's the whole island versus mainland arguments. You know, Lagos, I follow Lagos States on Facebook. They came out with a message quite promptly after the incident happened. They are very aware of what happened, but I think action needs to be followed. Yeah. They need to bring out a plan that addresses the issue now in the immediate ways that this can never happen again. And they have the resources, they have the staffing, the intellectual capacity, the financial will. They have the resources. But I do believe that, like you said, too much emphasis is being placed on maybe economic activity, things that will bring prosperity without the safeguarding of lives and property.
Yeah, because in all fairness to Ambode, he's fixing the Lagos airport road.
Yes.
I think 4 lanes on both sides.
Exactly.
He's building his mega bus stops around Ikeja.
Yes.
On Oshodi, there's this ultra-modern shopping complex that is coming up.
Yes.
But like Fashola the priorities are not well placed. You go to areas like Agege, Ikotun, Egbe,
Yes.
you know, that you need to expand. And we have Lagosian as the Minister of Works and Transport, that you think they will take advantage of that.
Yes.
They say they're going to fix the Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway. But having said that, no matter who is governor in Lagos, the amount of people coming into Lagos daily, it's a difficult place to manage.
Don't let us deceive ourselves. The task, the monumental task that is Lagos, is a hard job to do. No matter how much gains you make, the influx of people and catering for those people seem to overwhelm the advances made. So it's hard. We're not going to deny that. But at least steps can be taken to show that government are looking in the right direction. Because I notice what government tend to do in Nigeria is they work behind the scenes. Yeah. They talk amongst themselves, but they don't share with the masses. In this situation, crisis comes. You need to talk. You need to let us know that you've done this. You know, you are very aware of the situation. Action is being taken, and this is our short-term, medium-term, and long-term solution to address the cause.
Another issue with Lagos is the lack of transparency. It's one of the states that has not signed to the Freedom of Information Act. And Lagos' budget is shrouded in secrecy right from the days of Tinubu to Fashola and now to Ambode. I mean, you see a budget, but you won't see a breakdown.
No, you won't see a breakdown. You
know, they'll just tell you this is what is going for capital project, this is what for recurrent expenditure, but you won't see a breakdown as to itemized breakdown. In fact, there's this joke in Lagos that the best way to loot in Lagos is workshop. You know, you walk, and then you chop. You know, so the illusion of bridges being built, roads being constructed is an avenue for people to get enough money in their pocket. And if you're not transparent in the projects, I mean, taxpayers will be unhappy.
Yes, and it's echoed by the people in Lagos. They'll tell you, oh yeah, chop. If you want to take money, take, but do.
Do.
You understand? So I feel like the masses are aware that to an extent there's some rent seeking going on, but yeah, you're right. There needs to be more transparency, and it echoes to the problem we currently have now. You know, don't keep things amongst yourself. Share, appease the people. Know that you are there because they put you there. And know that although you are the leader of the states, you're also the servant of the people.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we also need to also say this. We blame government a lot, and I know 90% of our conversation as a people is to blame people in power, people in government. Like those people came from mass, like they didn't come from our community. You would wonder if the president is from Algeria, the governor of your state is from Tanzania. They are all Nigerians from amongst us. So the question is also that we as Nigerians, as followers, we have a bit of role to play. Paying tax in Nigeria is not something that regularly happens.
No.
The other time I was told probably less than 20% of the population actually pay tax, except unless you are working for government and they have to take the tax from your pocket.
Yes.
Or you run a business where you must get contract from government and you need to produce your tax clearance. People don't pay tax. You know, the argument is that when we pay it, you know, we don't know well, if you don't pay your tax, you know, I lived in Germany. One of the worst crime you can ever commit in Germany is not to pay your tax. You know, should we go with the argument of the people that, well, if we pay it, they will steal it, so we won't pay it?
There's a breakdown of social contracts. Now I pay my tax.
Yeah.
What do I get for paying my tax? What do I see from the money I've given to governments? What are the government giving me in return? What is the value added to my life? This is the problem we have now. People don't see the benefits of paying taxes because every business is a local government to themselves. They supply their electricity, their security, their water, their sanitation, everything. So people don't see the benefit of paying tax. And I think the government needs to, I mean, they're doing VADES now. They're trying to get people, capture more of the population in the taxable, you know, this thing. But I think they also need to take steps to address the people and show them this is what we're giving you for the money we're collecting from you. Because until people see the benefits of paying tax, they won't. It's a breakdown of social contract. Nobody knows where the money's going. And on top of this, you hear rumors of large amounts of looting by animals, rats, and snakes, and so on. So it doesn't build confidence. There is no confidence there in the masses.
And now the issue of, I feel so sorry for Premium Times, the issue of Mieti, how they got it so wrong, relying on the Nation newspaper. And the Nation newspaper have not been able to provide any evidence that they spoke with Mr. Shiroma. They are not providing evidence that what they claim he's saying is what he actually said. As a journalist, if you're going to something as sensitive, you should have it recorded.
Yes,
especially since you claim you spoke to him on the phone. If you spoke to him on the phone, there must be a transcript. You must transcribe from your phone, you're recording. So how you would claim the man said the killings is just was as a result of a revenge for the killing of cows. And now the man said, look, I never said anything like that. They let it go on for almost 3 days. People had started fighting each other on social media. And now Premium Times is saying, we apologize, we got this wrong. We relied on the Nation newspaper, and we've just discovered that the Nation newspaper cannot provide evidence of this man saying it. What is the role of the media in Nigeria in sort of not all the media houses, some media houses inflaming the crisis?
So I'll start by framing the argument in the wider African context. Media in Africa and in countries that are still up and coming is very important. They shape perspective a lot. If you look at what happened in Rwanda, the reason, or some of the reasons that contributed to the genocide was the way in which the media reported the death of the president and who they blamed for that death of the president. So the media have a responsibility for reporting and reporting accurately and reporting correctly. You know, I commend Premium Times for coming out and retracting the statement since they saw that they couldn't verify it themselves. But having said that, they should have done more due diligence. And the Nation themselves should also be more forthcoming. Because on a topic like this, it's very inflammatory. And given what's been going on in the country, you know, we don't want to add fire to the fuel when it comes to clashes. And when you add an ethnic tint to it, you have to be very careful.
And my producer has kindly put up the statement by Premium Times. If you can see it on your screen there. Premium Times regrets, you know, relying on verified information. And the most important bit of it is that they say, and Premium Times is one of those platforms that carry out due diligence. Their investigative reporting is top notch in Nigeria, and that's their statement out there, saying, look, we got this wrong. You know, the Nation published the purported quotes by Mr. Shiroma hours before our reporters in just lifted it without attribution, thus misleading its editors in Abuja. That reporter is going to get sacked.
Rightly so.
From
Rightly so.
From what is there,
Rightly
because
so.
He has sort of impugned on the integrity of a top class.
Do you know how many people may have lost their lives to that statement? You don't know the impact of saying such a thing, especially to those who have been victims of attacks. You know, we call them Fulani herdsmen attacks. We don't even know who these people are. The government assume people say these statements, but we have to be careful. We all have to live together at the end of the day.
And but what is also not being reported is there are two sides to the story, that the people of Plateau have been under siege for a very long time. The people of Taraba, the people of Adamawa, Benue, Buhari is failing when it comes to security and securing the borders, securing the people of our country. We all thought that was his strongest point. You know, being a former military general, that he would have gotten a grip of the security situation in the country. And that's why, that probably explains why we have hundreds of presidential candidates. Our own Alistair Soyode is running to become president. Showore is running. Felix. We have new sets of
rightly so.
New sets of
Plurality
people
helps our democracy.
saying they want to run for.
Yes.
They are just looking at, if this man could make a mess of this job, I could do a better job of becoming president in Nigeria. Did we get it wrong by reposing confidence in Buhari being able to change Nigeria when it comes to security?
The assumption with Buhari, President Buhari, was that given how many times he's tried to become president, he will come to the table be more prepared. Granted, there's some great things he has done, which have been overshadowed by what he hasn't done. Definitely. But I think we need to keep applying pressure to let the current administration and any administration after know that just because you're a sitting president doesn't mean you are automatically entitled to a second term. You know?
Okay, let's see if we have the, I want our viewers in the UK to look at the fire incidents in Lagos. Toby, thank you for being here. You're going to be hosting the show in August.
I will be.
The viewers are looking forward to that. So let's take a look at the fire incidents, and when we come back, Alistair Soyode, presidential candidate, will be in our studios. I can't wait to have this conversation with him. See you guys later. Welcome back, viewers. You're back on to your favorite channel, Ben Television, and it's your favorite show, Politricks with KO. And, you know, we did say to you that we're going to have one of Nigeria's presidential candidates in the studio, Alistair Soyode. Alistair Soyode is the founder of the Europe's first ethnic-oriented television channel in Lagos. He broke the glass ceiling. People thought it was not possible for ethnic minority to have their own channel in the UK, but he went into such brave venture. He's been featured on CNN and a lot of international platforms for making such a daring move. But now he wants to take it further. He said he's going to run Nigeria. He's running as an aspirant for the position of president in 2019. You're welcome, Alistair.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so first, let's start on a good note. You did something, and I said this to people. I said, okay, the first thing you did was you resigned as the chairman of Ben Television.
As the CEO, yeah.
As the CEO, before announcing your intention to run for president. That got me, that was a surprise to me, because your contemporaries, that my own friend, who are also running for president, they have not resigned from their media platforms, and they are running as if it does not matter. And that was my challenge, was it's going to be conflict of interest. Why did you decide to first resign as CEO of Ben TV before making the decision to run?
Well, thank you very much. I think the first thing, as you rightly mentioned, is basically looking at the structure and trying to make sure that the media platform is totally independent, and people will not come in and say, well, he's going to use his media platform to engage and promote his aspiration. So with that in mind, and believing that that could be the best thing that actually I can do, separate the platform from who I am as a Nigerian. First and foremost, resign from that position, which is something I've done all my life, running the platform, running the channel, and then bringing in people who are, in fact, much more independent in their opinion, in management, and bringing in people like Dr. Adebayo, who is a top broadcaster in the United Kingdom, to become the CEO, and then putting a team together around him, and then allowing me the freedom now to concentrate in the bigger picture, which is the presidency in Nigeria.
So, people call your candidacy, your aspiration, an aspiration of yourself, Kingsley Mogelu, Showore Omoyele, as the candidates of the jokers, that you have no chance whatsoever, that all you guys just want to do is to have your name out there so that down the lane, if they give you a position as a commissioner, then you've achieved your aim. How true is that? Are you seriously thinking you could actually become the president of Nigeria?
Mr. Key, the truth of the matter is, let's take the opinion of what Nigerians have been talking about. Nigeria has been yearning, talking about they want new leaders. They want younger generation to take over the mantle. Now, when you now look across the whole board, if Showore, the Kingsley Mogalus, the Ahmed Buharis of those are not declaring to contest, then who are the people that will compete and contest with President Buhari or the likes of Atiku? If we're calling them the older generation. So if there's nobody from our generation, then we shouldn't fight, we shouldn't complain, we should just allow the president and Atiku and whoever from the older generation to rule and let them be the contestant.
Do you know how much it takes to run the campaign for councillor in Nigeria? I know a friend who left here, Farida, to run for councillor in Abuja, and she ran on a budget of almost 60 million naira. That's councillor. I'm not talking about governor. I'm not talking about Senate or House of Reps. President, do you know the budget that is involved? How are you going to raise funds? I've checked your GoFundMe since you started your GoFundMe. You've not even hit a target of...
£1,000.
No one has donated up to £10,000,
no.
and you have a target of almost £1 million.
That's good.
If you don't have... If you, by now you don't even have £20,000, it means the people don't have confidence in your likes. Showore also wants... is running on a target of almost £2 million. Yeah. He's been able to raise about £40,000. I mean, if you want to change the old order, you need the resources. You're not getting the traction financially.
The traction financially on the platform, as you rightly mentioned, is absolutely correct. But now the point as well is, as a Nigerian, as an electorate, all these Nigerians that have been talking about we need a change, or we need Nigeria to be stronger, we need Nigeria to be a better nation, what are they doing? If they're just sitting down, just criticizing, then at least in my own spirit, in my own mind, and the other aspirant, we can definitely say, when the crunch, when people were demanding, we stood up and we said, consider us. The ball is in the hands of the electorate, not in my hands anymore. I don't want to sit down and criticize the leadership when we know we can do something. So the diaspora, the 70 or 80 million Nigerians electorate that has been registered, the ball is down to them. And indeed, the last election took more than $2.5 billion to execute. Let's take that into consideration. Here we are saying, well, as I said, there is no empty vacancy in Nigeria. The president has declared that he is going to contest. Other people are now coming forth to say they want to contest against him. Let's be honest, do we want to change? Do we want Nigeria to move forward? Or do we want to continue talking that we don't want the old regime, but then yet it's only the old regime that can do the job? So for me, I will sleep peacefully. But I know as a leader, former chairman of Nigerians and Diaspora Organization, I know what it takes. And when you talk about the local government election, I have been there because we have been throughout the process to the point that even the incumbent and the last president, we entertained them. We brought them here for them to engage with the community. Okay, let's go on a short break. And when we come back, we're going to go on Alistair Soyede's policy plan for Nigerians. Don't go away. This is the first in a series of presidential candidates we're going to be having in the studio of Ben TV. We hope to bring Showore, Kingsley, and everyone that is going into public office. It's countdown to 2019. When we come back, Alistair is in the studio to answer your questions. We'll take a short break. That way. Viewers, you're welcome, and it's still your program, Politricks with KO. The station is Ben Television. Viewers, you can call in now to engage with, have a conversation with Alistair Soyode,
presidential aspirant in Nigeria's 2019 elections. We were discussing the issue of why he thinks he's the right person to challenge Buhari in 2019. And before we left, we were talking about, we mentioned a lot of new generation Nigerians contesting. We've had several names. From my last count, I have about 23 unheard of names when it comes to Nigerian politics. Now, the question is, I was speaking to someone in the Buhari campaign, and I said to them, are you guys not scared of these young people? When I say young in quote, new generation coming up to challenge you. And they were so pleased, you know, with the emergence of people like yourself and several others, because as far as they are concerned, you're going to do the job for them. You will split the vote of the PDP, and the president will smile straight to Aso Rock. Are you guys doing the spoiler for PDP? You know, if not, why can't you all come together and present one candidate?
I guess it's a good presentation. It's a good question to ask. Bear in mind that, as you rightly say, there's about 20 aspirants who are all contesting to be the president. But the truth of the matter as well is, let's narrow it down. Who are they? Where are they coming from? What have they done before? Are they managers? Are they CEOs? Are they founders of something? Are they senior public leaders or private leaders within the Nigerian context? If they're not, then with due respect as well, then you can see their limitation. Now, coming into the picture, I'm definitely not coming as a spoiler for anybody. I don't want anybody, I'm not spoiling for anybody. In fact, I want somebody else to spoil for me so that we can emerge. Now, the other part of the question is, why can't we come together? For me, it's not about do or die. It's about Nigeria. Can I have something to offer? Yes, over the last 2 decades, I have been offering almost everything that I do towards Nigerian development, towards the unity of the country. People used to wonder and say, what part of Nigeria are you coming from? Because that is this play a major role within our context. Where are you coming from? What religion are you? And I have always shied away completely from saying I'm from so-so place. Precisely, the Constitution going for the presidency only allowed me to be a Nigerian and 40 years plus, which have now been narrowed down, and then have a school certificate. Based on that, I qualify. And again, based on what I have done for Nigeria over the last 20 years, not even in my country, but across the world, in the diaspora, is presenting and selling Nigeria, reducing the negative image about my country. So it means I have been contributing towards national development.
But the question is, you new generation aspirants are not doing any different from the old ones. Soyode went to Nigeria and he was going with wheelbarrow, you know, like Fayose would start eating boli and epa on the streets. You change your name from Alistair to Ali. The question is, did you change your name to Ali to please the northern votes? You know, why not Alistair Soyode? Why in the Nigerian press you're presenting yourself as Ali Soyode and not Alistair Soyode? Are you pandering to the northern votes?
Pandering? No. Point number one about wheelbarrow or pushing. For me, anybody that have my pictures from Nigeria over the last 10 years, you see that actually I have always been engaging with local community rather than the 5-star or the VIPs. I move with the VIPs, but all my attitudes and development and mentoring is within the local people across Nigeria, from Katsina to Enugu State to Kebbi. You will see them there on record to Ajegule. I have been doing this, but for me, it's not about my publicity. No, maybe yes, indeed, I work in the media, but I shy away from throwing it back to the media image, to the media gallery. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm contributing my culture, and I'm happy with what I'm doing. Now, the second aspect is of the question is, I'm just trying to get the second aspect of your question.
Yeah, okay, let's even move away from that so that we can cover all areas. Let's talk about your policy on security. What will you do differently from what Buhari is doing now? There's crisis in the North Central, the kidnappings going on in the Southeast. In Southwest, you still have insecurity. Boko Haram is there. As Commander-in-Chief, what is Buhari not doing right that you think you're going to do correctly on security?
In our manifesto, or in the manifesto I present, which is the yes factor, you know, there's a difference between yes and yes. You're really excited. Yes, Nigeria finally qualified for the World Cup. Yes, I made it, right? That is the yes factor. The last letter of that yes factor is letter S. meaning security. Your security guarantee, your security is secured. You can have good education, good economy, good energy, which is power, good enterprise, looking after your elders, yeah? Doing all this thing and having the expert working within your industry, taking care of your younger generation and the youth, which is the first Y for the yes factor. The last letter, as I say, is yes, security. With all this thing put on your table, without good security, you can't enjoy the life you're looking for. Yeah. So that security is the number one thing that within a day, being elected, we are going to completely reform it. There is already before, during our presentation, we said the moment we are in, every police officer will be withdrawn from any so-called personality, VIP, big guys. They will be withdrawn and do the job of police officers. Yeah. Why? If you have the money, then you can go and hire a private security officer to guarantee your own security. But for the people, the ordinary Nigerians, they rely on the police, they rely on the military, they rely on the Navy. Every one of them, by God's grace, will go and do the job ascribed in their act.
Let's quickly take the call from Charles. Hello, good evening, Charles. Hello, Charles, good evening. Do we have Charles online? Okay, I think we've lost Charles. So, now, on security, there are about, you were going to withdraw policemen from VIPs and what have you. The army is underfunded. We don't have enough soldiers to battle Boko Haram. Soldiers are doing the job of the policemen. There seems to be low morale within the military. What are the specific policy agendas of your candidacy, of your aspirations that you're going to be doing differently? For now, Buhari has not sacked any top military person in almost 4 years, and even despite the fact that they're not performing well. As commander-in-chief, would you do it differently from Buhari?
100%. 100%. As you said, my name is Ali Soyode. I'm not President Buhari. Yeah. My system, my strategy is absolutely top on. What I have learned over the last 20 years, been in the diaspora and at the same time been at home, is totally different. We're taking this thing completely. We are going to reform almost everything. In terms of budgeting, what is happening is people have the budget, but they don't deliver the budget according to account given to them. All that is going to change, because what you have to calculate is your body language, how you present yourself from day one is very, very important. For the people who know who I am, for the people who has been around us, know the kind of caliber and the kind of people we are.
Okay, let me quickly get to Charles. Good evening, Charles.
Hello, Mr. K.
Yes, sir.
I'm just listening to your discussion with Mr. Ali or Alison.
Yeah, Alistair.
The question you just asked him, hello? The question you asked him, if he's changing his name to Ali or Alison, I was even worried myself, because I asked myself the question that if this guy is running for presidency and he suddenly changed his name to Alison to Ali, then there is a problem. And another one, there's an advert he did with some people calling some funny gods. I'm going into Calabash and all the rest of them. I'm telling you honestly, that makes Mr. Ali or Alison a childish runner of the presidency. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you want to reply, Charles? You got him clearly. Why change of name to Ali? What is that funny bit about going to Calabash? I didn't see the advert, but obviously you saw the advert. Yeah.
Well, let me start with the advert. The advert was produced by some other people, and before you can click, it's already out. So people who wanted to support and put things together. So it's done.
Without your knowledge?
Without my knowledge, and based on that script, and according to how it is presented. Yeah? So that is already out.
So you don't approve of the advert?
No, I don't.
So because if you cannot even control your advert as an aspirant, how are you going to control a complex country like Nigeria? Your advert as a candidate, and the same thing goes to Soyode too. He had a photograph out, and when we exposed him for the fraud at the front, his campaign said, no, we've got nothing to do with this. He couldn't control his own. Why should Nigerians trust the new generation if you cannot do something fundamentally different? Because Charles got you right.
Correct. let's take the issue of probably even the funding, the supporters, who people want to come and support you. At the end of the day, for example, now we're trending everywhere. In fact, when you started your program, you talk about one fake news going out in circulation, and then people do talk to us and say, oh, what can we do? And you can tell them, oh, this is what you need to do. How do you think you're going to do it? You may send us the story. If we happen to see it, we quickly change it and say, no, please, this is the way it needs to go. For example, I will not criticize Nigeria. I'm known not to criticize Nigeria. And then again, if you actually watch, there was a movie, the Panther, the Black Panther.
Black Panther, yes.
There is something called Wakanda, which after that advert that the gentleman is talking about, this is what basically happened. It's not like they're communicating with spirit, they're communicating with elders. So with that, it is good. They're communicating with people to say, what do we need to do?
Okay.
Yeah? But on the name, for example, I explain to people, anybody that called me Alistair, for example, has a place they know me. Yeah? You may have a name that people call you in Jos. Okay. Anybody that call you that name, you know, technically you can say this is where they call me. So my name, my mother is from the northern part of Nigeria. My father is from the southern part of Nigeria. I was born in Katsina.
Okay. So let me quickly have Yinka calling. Yeah, they call me Sankara in Jos, actually. And,
right.
If I come tomorrow and want to be president, please call me Sankara. Let's take Yinka. Yinka, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. Quickly.
Good
evening, sir. Please.
And I'm very proud to have Dr. Alita
Soyode
in your studio.
Thank you very much.
In fact, the question that Dr. Alita answered still baffles me, and I want him to take a regret in that name. He is my man of my heart. But when I first listened to the jingle and the promo, I'm a theater artist, and the kind of formation of what I saw in the scenario of your jingle, it doesn't call of the man that I know of Alita Soyode. Then secondly, when I listen to Ali Soyode, I said, wait a minute, we are all from Abeokuta. Despite the fact that you are born in the north, you've already had that nomenclature, and that is your brand name, Alita Soyode. You don't need to divert and change it because of politics. Secondly, my piece of advice. Look, yes, you can aim high, but in joining politics in Nigeria, like you know very well, it's a dirty game. You need to start from somewhere. Let's follow you down to Abeokuta. Let's follow you down to Ogun State. Start from Ogun State.
Okay, Yinka, thank you so much, because I want others to be able to call in now.
Thank you.
It seems the callers actually, you know, they admire you, and there's no lack of admiration for your aspiration and the aspiration of quite a number of people of our generation. But the question is just that, are you guys ready? Now, let's go into the economy. The economy in Nigeria is in tatters now. Nigeria is actually been promoted to having the poorest number of people in the world, overtaking India, you know, and credit to you and to yourself and a lot of people like you. You've created employment. You have a TV station employing Nigerians and people from across the world, contributing not only to the British economy, but the Nigerian economy. What will you do differently when you get into office, if you get into office, to jumpstart the economy of Nigeria?
Well, thanks. Let me just quickly add another single line. You see, in the Nigerian context or anywhere, your official document is your name. Yeah. So people can call me whatever, but here we're talking about official documentation. And the official documentation, as ascribed to the national document, the name I'm giving now is the name that is in my official document.
That's how it's
there's no change it at all, but now at least because I'm coming out forth, the system knows my name according to, I wouldn't change my name just the last minute. It doesn't make sense at all. But in terms of the economy, as I mentioned earlier, the yes factor, there's an E there for the economy in Nigeria. We have to go the way of industrialization. When you create more industries, you are able to recruit more people and find jobs for more people. Take, for example, even the housing industry. There is a shortage of houses in Nigeria, almost 10 million. Now, per unit, you can employ 5 people working per unit. Now, think about it. Even just 1 million houses to be built times 5, that's 5 million jobs that you can easily create. When we now go into the thing that Nigerians talk about that unite the Nigerian people is sport. I am definitely, without any doubt, the most sport-active person among all the aspirants. From football to boxing to athletics to badminton to whatever you may call it, I'm much more knowledgeable, actively participating in those sports. So we use that as well to engage our youth. Rather than sitting idly, just following the British Premier League and the European Premier League, we can create a lot of things there that will create jobs. What about the entertainment industry? The Nigerian economy was based on the entertainment industry. Now, again, with due respect to every other candidate, that happened to be my strongest point as well, because that's my industry, that's my profession. So I know what we're going to do with the Nollywood industry. I know what we're going to do with the extra, even tourism, which is all interrelated. Jobs will be created, but as I said, it has to do with the leaders. It has to do with a sincere purpose of delivering what you can actually do.
Let me get Daniel in. We've got a caller. Daniel, good evening. Where are you calling from, sir? Hello, Daniel. Okay, we've lost Daniel. I'm going to ask you this question, and it's the national question. Nigeria is fragmented. The ethnic nationalities are competing for the rich.
Yeah, good evening. I'm calling from the Crown in London.
Oh, okay. Go ahead quickly, please. Hello, Daniel.
Okay, all right.
Okay, Daniel.
Ogundazi still speaking.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, all right. Dr. Soyode, good evening, and Kayode, good evening. I just want to ask Dr. Soyode that. I just want to advise Dr. Soyode that it would have been better. He has done so many things in the area of creating jobs and everything, but I don't know whether he has been in Nigeria so long to know the situation of Nigerian society, number one. Number two, is that actually in political system and practice, it would have been better to have a kind of political party with a kind of ideology that you have gained from this side of the western side and present alternative to what our people have been done. If I can quickly tell you, when the formation group, before the independence, all those people formed that party here, and the money was collected from abroad. But I do actually, because I like you very well for what you have been doing for the society here, if I know that you have the aspiration to do that thing, because of my discipline and everything, I've been here so long, also like you, and I've taken part in the political system of Britain by contesting for councillorship and so on. As well, I've advised you that, you should have started for senatorial level, to know the situation in Nigeria, and then because you are still young.
All right, Daniel, thank you so much,
but
Daniel.
Now, you have actually put in for the bigger job now.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. Daniel, well, it resonates that people say, okay, Alistair is a fantastic Nigerian. Your track record speak for yourself, but you're going for the big apple, as Daniel put it. We won't want to overflog that, because I want to ask you this very important question. Nigeria is fragmented, like I did say. There is Biafra, there is Boko Haram. People just want to pull out of the country. I'm going to ask you direct questions that I'm going to ask every other candidate that will come into this studio. Will you grant Biafra the right to secede from Nigeria?
It's not my role to grant them the right. It's the role of the National Assembly, the Constitution. We have to go according to the Constitution first. What does the Constitution say for every single Nigerian? Then we follow. And then it goes back to the National Assembly, who already have representation from the 5 southeastern states in the National Assembly, for them to decide with the remaining Title 1 state, including the FCT, to say, right, what do we do? And then if they approve and they agree, then it will happen.
So let me put it in another way. Would you support the inclusion of a referendum in the Constitution of Nigeria, in the constitutional reform, where we have a referendum whereby dissatisfied ethnic nationalities can simply say, we want a referendum to leave Nigeria? Would you support?
As long as, just like Not Too Young to Run bill was passed in the National Assembly, and it was passed and is going to be passed in the National Assembly, we will sign it off.
Okay. For the benefit of our viewers and for the benefit of Nigerians in diaspora, because people like yourself, Showore, and the other candidates from outside Nigeria, you are more or less representing the diaspora. For those at home who are watching this program now, who want to go into politics in Nigeria, tell us what challenges have you been facing so far, because you've been going in and out of Nigeria. But I want you to hold on to that thought, because I want people to learn from your experience thus far. Let's take a call from Yinka. Good evening, Yinka.
Thank you. I need to call again.
Yinka.
This is the man that I love so much. Okay. Just to Alisa, please.
All right, go ahead. Quick.
Political party will you join that is of your own ideology, that you believe come 2019, every one of us will support you and will believe that you are going to forge ahead and all your dreams will come through. That those big gunners in that political party will give you room to experience and to experiment this kind of ideology that is in you, that you want to help Nigeria as a whole.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you, Yinka, so that we can have others. So quickly, the question from Yinka, what political parties that would mirror your ideology? From
the beginning, for example, for me, in fact, everything I do is to develop Nigeria as a nation. Now, politically, it's likewise to strengthen the political dispensation taking place in the country. The bigger picture is, when we started, we have a movement called Yes Nigeria Movement. We started with that, going into the villages, educating the electorate about their strength, their power to elect and to call back anybody. Their power to actually, they control the system rather than those that they elected. That's what we've been doing for the last 8 months, before any other emerging movement appeared. During our process, that's when we met with people, just the first 2 people who started the Nigerian Intervention Movement. So we are founding members of that Nigerian Intervention Movement for the main purpose as well, to create a synergy whereby, even in time of opposition, we don't really have a strong neutral opposition in Nigeria presently. As we continue on that yes movement, yes Nigeria, do you want a better Nigeria, a quality Nigeria, a strong Nigeria? The answer is yes, 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 yes. And even in the National Assembly, the yes always have it. So we continue with that process. And along the way, as we continue, we find out that actually the ideology we're pushing needs to have people who believe in those ethics. And then we started the registration of a political party. Now, of course, it may not happen before the election. Right now, we have as many as 3 political parties who have been speaking with us over the last month.
So there are
consultations. And there are consultations perfectly on the ground. So the point is, definitely we will announce the party that we're going to work with in the next few months.
So in terms of challenges, what are the challenges that you're facing so far running for public office in Nigeria? I say to people say all you do is criticize. I'm very comfortable. We all have our different callings. That's my area of calling. But kudos to those who are crossing the line to join party politics in Nigeria, which I find extremely dangerous in one way or the other. I'm not a coward, but I mean, I always say if you don't have blood money, don't go into Nigerian politics. So far, what challenges have you been facing in these few times you've been? I want you to answer that question, but our first female caller and our women, we've got to give them all the props. Good evening, Mabel.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Mabel. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Wembley.
Okay, we've got Dr. Alistair Soyode in the studio.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to advise him.
Go ahead, please.
I was a nurse in Katsina when he was still a small boy.
Oh.
And I was so excited when he came on because I know he's capable. I came to London and I saw him doing a big thing by opening Ben Television. So I have no doubt in my mind that he will, progress and see through our country that is in shatter.
Thank you so much, Mabel.
So please ask him not to change his name. His name is sweet enough.
Okay, you see? All right, so thank you, Mabel.
Now go to Kwarema.
Everyone is...
Wallahi, don't change that name, please.
You see,
everyone
is saying, don't change. Thank you, Mabel. We have less than 2 minutes to go. Everyone is saying, don't change your name. They like it as a
I actually didn't change my name. That's what I'm saying. I did not change the name. So long I have to pass information that is official. It has to reflect that.
Let's quickly have a quick response to the challenges so far.
Right. The challenges I find so far is, sincerely speaking, saying that quite a lot of Nigerians absolutely want to change. but the truth of the matter is they are not totally sincere. Yeah, that's number one. People can push you forward. If you're not ready, you'll be left on your own. That's insincerity. We're blaming some people about being insincere in leadership and governance, but on the other side, they're actually worse because they're not leaders, and yet they are not showing that sincerity or purpose. That's what I learned. And because I have been through from the grassroots campaign, from the local councillor, ward, governorship, to the point that we've been there for presidents.
In 30 seconds to the viewers at home, just your last words.
Well, my last word really is, as Nigerians, we need peace in our country. So one thing I want every Nigerian to do is to pledge peace and support the governors, the government in Nigeria to make sure that all this criminality taking place is absolutely curtailed. And at the end of the day, as a Nigerian, I hope that we will find somebody who would unite us as a country rather than continue to divide us. And we must find reason to unite rather than be divided.
Okay, so on that note, Dr. Alistair Soyode, thanks for coming on this program, Politricks with KO. And viewers, we've come to the end of today's show. Just know that we're always here for you. Ben TV, you see, we're making improvements, and we will try to meet your expectations in terms of delivering the best with our conversations about our community. Like I keep saying, Nigeria is greater than every one of us, even the president of the country. Vote whomever you think is able to resolve your problems in 2019. Forget the fact that some of us support certain candidates. Vote your conscience. Nigeria is greater than whichever candidate would win. Remember what? Whoever wins in 2019 is the president of Nigeria and will deserve our support. Once again, we want to send our condolences to the people of Lagos, the people of Plateau, Taraba, Adamawa, and all the victims of crisis in Nigeria. And to our men and women in the armed forces who are serving our country diligently, who are on daily basis keeping awake so that we can go to bed at night. We love you. We will continue to pray for you. For those who have loved ones, we say, may their soul rest in peace. Good night and God bless you.